Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. That's right. Welcome to the show. I do love that intro. Welcome in. How's it going? It's a snowy Wednesday afternoon here in Denver in the Mile High City. Thanksgiving tomorrow. The NHL does not care about Thanksgiving. Yes, they are off tomorrow, but my goodness, what a schedule for the Avs this week, and really the whole league. They take the one day off, and then they are right back at it, hitting the schedule heavy on Friday. So a lot coming up here for the Avs this week. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to unpack a little bit of what we saw in Tampa Bay. We'll talk a little bit about the trip just kind of as a whole to kick things off here. And then we'll preview tonight. We'll talk a little bit about goaltending as, the uncertainty continues to swirl. It'll be Alexander Georgiev going in net tonight. So we will get into all of that. No Megan with me today. Again, Thanksgiving coming up this week. She's with family. Really kind of a sparse day around the office just in general. There's only a few of us still hanging around here in office today, but that's all right. We're here. Happy to be talking with you guys all day long about all things Avs. Again, we talk about it all the time, guys. It's a crazy schedule. It's a crazy job, but happy to be doing it. Happy to be here talking to you guys on the eve of Thanksgiving. And I'm back. I'm back out on the road for about a week and a half, 4-game trip, East Coast swing, back here in the Guerilla Sports Studios, powered by Trusted American Mortgage. More on Trusted American coming up here soon. Let's get into it right now, guys. Let's start by unpacking that road trip as well as the game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. A lot to unpack here. Overall, it was a really positive trip. A lot of things that you really do like about what the Avs did, the results they got, the process. I talked to Logan O'Connor this morning, and he even mentioned they were trending in the right direction on everything. Everything was building from one game to the next. It was part of what made the game in Tampa Bay such a gut punch, was that there was no signs that was going to be the game that they came out with on Monday. My days are so messy. Add in the holiday week. My wife's home all week. So I don't even have her work schedule to help partially keep me on track. Add in the holiday. I don't know what day it is, you guys. Monday, part of what made that such a disappointment on Monday was that there were no signs in the previous games leading towards, hey, this might be a tough one. Yeah, it's the end of a road trip, but really everyone even in the room Monday morning ahead of that Tampa Bay game, so much of the conversation was we want to finish strong. We want to take so many of the things that we have done well up to this point and build on them and cap this off with our best game of the road trip and head back home at 4-0. Especially knowing that, again, OC told me this morning, it's a gauntlet this week. Again, for it being Thanksgiving, holy smokes, the Avs are not very thankful for the schedulers. The Vegas Golden Knights tonight at home. Then you fly out tomorrow to play Dallas on Friday, who you're chasing in the Central Division, then right back at it on Sunday at home against the Edmonton Oilers. So no rest for the weary, and they got to get after it. So that was part of the reason why they wanted to finish strong. They would have loved to come home collecting 8 out of 8 points on the road. The Avs are not in any type of situation where you're talking about a cushion of points, right? That cushion they kind of blew through in the first 4 games of the season. But you knew that this was going to be a tough schedule, and you wanted to give yourself your best chance. You wanted to set yourself up to be as successful as possible coming back home, and you just didn't get that. I want to hear from Cale Makar here. We've got this queued up. I thought he had great perspective after the Tampa Bay game. Normally you do hear a lot of guys say, just drag that game right to the trash. And Jared Bednar even said that a little bit, but it was what Cale Makar said, and we actually heard the sentiments echoed this morning from Jared Bednar, who we'll hear from in just a little bit. But talking about the fact that the Avs, it wasn't that their legs weren't going in that game against Tampa. Their brains weren't turned on. They weren't thinking the game at the pace they needed to, at the level they needed to. And I thought Cale Makar had great perspective. Let's hear from him. This is Monday after the Avs lost 8-2 in Tampa Bay.
Is there a way to say what went wrong there?
Yeah, just the minds weren't in it. Felt like at some points our body wanted to do the right thing, and just our execution was bad. We were just slower than them to every puck, and yeah, that was kind of the way the night went.
What made it difficult for you guys to be able to kind of turn that corner? You guys have had a couple of slow starts. Even on this trip, you guys have been able to get things going. Can you put your finger on what it was that kept you guys from being able to kind of get rolling there? Yeah,
I think maybe just a little bit of execution. Again, when a team's like playing really well like that on top of you, you got to keep it simple. And I just felt execution for us wasn't there tonight. And then again, just drifting into the wrong places and defensively just not there for us. So yeah.
Kel, is it okay to look at this as 3-1? How much do you have to focus on this one?
I mean, yeah, you can. It's hard to look at it like that. Obviously, you never want to finish the road trip off like this. It's never fun going home, but at the same time, you go 3-1 on the road, so you got to take the positives from that. And for us, I think there was a lot to learn from tonight. Just didn't have the connect on our bodies to our minds, and this is the way it goes sometimes. We just have to find a way to make sure, recognize that early, and then keep it simple so that we can stay in more games like that.
It's one thing to lose a game like this at the end of the road trip, but how it went, is that concerning to you at all?
How this game went?
Yeah,
no, it's not concerning. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, jumbled lines again. Obviously, Drew being out late last second, so it is what it is. But for us, felt like we had the legs the whole trip, and there was nothing against that. It's just another road trip. So for us, we wanted to end on a good note, and again, just tonight just wasn't connecting. But I'm not overly concerned. I think the guys we understand what we did wrong, and we'll move on.
Can maybe be easy to, for something like this, you say, just throw it in the trash, but you think there's a lot to take out of a game like this? Yeah,
I think a little bit. I think again, it goes to just our recognition. Knowing that, okay, these guys are going to be on us all night. Their reloads are really good, and at that point, we just got to make sure we keep it simple. I don't think we can force things, and once we get our forecheck working, and if we don't have our legs, we got to find other ways to produce. So it's just, I think there's simple things that we can do. It's just, again, I think it goes for us recognizing it earlier.
Thanks.
So it's the recognizing it earlier and keeping it simple. I feel like we've seen the Avs at multiple points in the early part of this season here, where when games haven't been going their way, you start to see them overpass, get frustrated, try to force things through. And I think what Cale was talking about there was, look, especially when you're playing a team like Tampa Bay, tonight like the Vegas Golden Knights, Friday like the Dallas Stars, Saturday like the Edmonton Oilers, and these are good teams that can burn you if you're beating yourself, you're making mistakes that aren't forced, unforced errors. You got to simplify things. And I felt like that game started to get away from the Avs, and they didn't get back to the small little details that make them successful. Again, you look at both Ivan goals in that game, and they're him going to the net, finding rebounds, getting in front. You need more of that, and being able to say, hey, we don't have our A game tonight. Let's settle into our B game here, see if we can stick around in this game and climb back into it. Now, we also talked to Nathan McKinnon after that game, and I don't think it was him calling out the goaltenders per se. But Nathan McKinnon did say everything was going in. There was nothing we could do to stop it. There absolutely was an element of that in that game against Tampa that you can't just ignore. The Avs score, Ivan scores, was it less than a minute or just over a minute after Jake Gensel makes it 2-0. Ivan scores, and it's 2-1. Okay, you should be able to take a deep breath. We're back in it. It's a 1-goal deficit. We got the entire game ahead of us. Slow down. Let's get back in this one. And you can't get a stop. you can't get a save from Jussi Sananen, and that makes it tough. You could definitely tell the frustration started to boil over. We saw the broken sticks heading into the intermission, and then there in the second period, you can sense that kind of growing frustration, and I think that's the part that Cale Makar is talking about there. We cannot allow that team cannot allow themselves to get frustrated and take themselves mentally out of a game that, again, in those early goings, you're still trying to claw your way back into, and they just kind of let it run away from them there. So that type of stuff, again, you talk about tonight, and we're going to get into Vegas' schedule too, because this has the makings to be a funky game tonight. But this is a game that can kind of traditionally be a trap game tonight here against Vegas. You're out on the road for a long time. You finally get to come home, and the traditional thought process is, well, you're going to get to sleep in your own beds, relax. You get the preferred morning skate time, and sometimes teams can fall asleep at the wheel a little bit. If that happens, and you don't come out of the gate the way you want, what Cale Makar is alluding to there is you've got to be able to stop and adjust your game and stop trying to force your style of play, getting up and down, a bunch of crazy passing and perfect plays. No, pucks to the net, get bodies to the net, see if you can't stick around in a game long enough till you can find your legs. It felt like that was a thing that they did differently against Tampa than what we had seen in the previous even 3 road games. I asked Cale Makar there after that game. I asked Nathan McKinnon after that game. The team has been able to bounce back from slow starts in games. What was it that was different in Tampa? And really, to me, that's what it was they didn't simplify. They didn't sharpen the details of their game. It was, well, we can't get a stop, so let's just try to force this through and outscore the problems. And you see what happens there when you do that. So that's what you take out of a game that you lose 8-2. Really, you scrap the rest of it, in my opinion. You take the details and say, what was it that led to this game running away from us so quickly? That's what you address. But otherwise, you don't have the time in this condensed of a schedule to sit there and break down, oh, here's what we did bad. Here's where we missed coverage. No. How did this game get away from us so quickly? That's what we got to address. And you scrap the rest of it and you say, you just don't do that ever again. Those details clearly weren't good enough. Yes, of course, the goaltending was a problem. I definitely saw people saying, well, the defense wasn't great as well. There were a lot of problems in that game. You need some saves from your goaltender in those moments, and you need to be able to bounce back, simplify your game, get to the net, pucks to the net, get a body on somebody, and just slow it down a little bit. We'll see if they can do that here tonight. Let's talk about that goaltending. It is going to be Alexander Georgiev going in net tonight. Jussi Sananen was out on the ice early today, ahead of morning skate, and just getting in some very basic work. Very, very simple stuff. And, literally, like he was doing little stuff like slap shots from the point, tracking him into his stomach, dropping him, playing that puck, dumping a puck in, making a play on a puck, and getting back in the net and getting set. That was the type of stuff that Jussi Sananen was working on this morning. We talked about it on the show with Megan on Monday ahead of the game with Tampa. And we were saying that you wanted to see Jussi Sananen have a strong game, not because you necessarily need Annunen to take over and be the starter and push for all those minutes. Yes, that would be very nice, but that's not what you need out of him. You need a reliable option to come in behind Alexander Georgiev and be an option, right? We're sitting there at morning skate today, and I'm looking at the schedule, and even with the back-to-back, I said, with this much uncertainty behind Jussi Sananen, I don't know how you give him one of these starts this week. Corey Masisak did the math while we were sitting in the press box in Tampa, and he included it in his story after the game. Jussi Sananen's numbers against playoff teams the last 2 seasons, and I'm not going to repeat it back because I know the number changed, by the time the game ended. He did the math in the second period when it was still Alexander Georgiev in, before Jussi Annunen came back in and gave up 3 additional goals. It's bad, folks. Jussi Annunen has been a serviceable backup by the numbers against non-playoff teams the last 2 seasons in the NHL. Maybe that's splitting hairs, but the numbers are the numbers. When played against quality opponents, Jussi Annunen has not played at an NHL level. Well, you've got nothing but high-end quality opponents this week. All 3 of them being conference games, one of them being a divisional game. Now, look, this isn't to say that we haven't seen Jussi Annunen play well, make big saves, come up in good moments for the Avs, but the confidence just can't be there right now. And when you're already working through that with Alexander Georgiev saying, well, gosh, we don't fully know what we're going to get from him on any given night. It's been a lot better. It's been a touch more consistent. And he's, I liked what Jared Bednar said after the Vegas game as well. He battled. Alexander Georgiev got into that game and fought. He wasn't a great night for him either by the numbers, but there were a lot of those where, the 2 of them were rebounds. One of them was a backdoor. Alexander Georgiev scratched and clawed his way through the minutes that he got in that game, just under 30 minutes that he got in that game. So you're working through an inconsistency problem with one goaltender. Now your backup, who you were hoping, and you saw some stretches in that first 10-game segment that you could go to him if need be, break glass in case of emergency, feel comfortable going to him in a back-to-back situation. I just have to imagine that the coaching staff's confidence is pretty shaken right now in Jussi Annunen. Of course, everybody wants to know what the Avs can do, who they can go out and attempt to acquire. And it's tough because I tweeted it out and got a lot of response. I just don't know what you do. I don't know what you do to bring in anybody of consequence. It's going to be a legitimate move, because here's the other thing that people have to remember. Like, the vultures are circling. Every team in the league knows the Avs need help in net. How many general managers do you think are out there lining up to give Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Mikko Rantanen an upgrade at goal? Every team that the Avs are going to want to do business with, it's going to be a high asking price. And, we talked about, and I'm just going to use John Gibson as the example. And I know, folks, I know how people feel about John Gibson. Is he past his prime? Is he, whatever. Let's even say you want to do that. Let's say you all felt good about John Gibson. Not only is Anaheim going to have to eat half that salary for it to even come close to making sense or working for the Avs salary cap, that's probably a situation where Alexander Georgiev is having to go back the other way, again, to make the money work. And would be, he'd be going into a 1B type situation with Lucas Dostal. So again, I could see why that having Georgiev just as a goaltender would make sense in Anaheim, sure. But is Anaheim interested in taking that goaltender back? How much does that actually help them when they could just hold on to John Gibson, especially if you're going to ask them to eat half of John Gibson's salary? What that means is that there's going to have to be quite a bit of sweetener that goes with that, either in the by the way of picks or prospects. Then you kind of have that next tier down. And I see some folks in the chat, Peter Mrazek in Chicago. The one that I've seen that I actually do find really interesting is Karel Vejmelka in Arizona. But again, Arizona, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, my Arizona people. Oh, in Utah. Karel Vejmelka in Utah, not Arizona. I'm genuinely sorry about that. That organization, Utah, formerly the Arizona Coyotes, that organization has, for years, had goaltending be a major strength for the organization. It hasn't been great this year. Karel Vejmelka has been very up and down. Now, again, you could look at that and say, put him behind a team like this, better system, better structure, more high-end players. Does that help Vejmelka kind of get back to those levels that you're at? And what he does, because to me, that's one where you're looking to keep Alexander Georgiev around and add in Vejmelka. Maybe Annunen goes back the other way, plus some picks, prospects, things like that, mid-round picks, mid-level prospects. Okay, maybe that works. Let's say that you can make the money work. But again, like that isn't okay, Vejmelka's here, now you're all good. You're kind of back into the situation where you've got two guys that you feel okay about. Two guys that you say, okay, we could ride with this. We're going to see who can give us a better chance on any given night. So the Vejmelka's having a fine season. The reason I mentioned that suddenly goaltending has become a little bit of a question mark in Utah and why that could disrupt some of this is going back to what I was just talking about with the cost. If you're the Utah Hockey Club and you're saying, okay, all right, we've got a goalie that you're interested in. Goaltending hasn't been great for us this year. And Vejmelka's having a decent season in net. So why would we want to give a goaltender who is actually playing okay for us away when we're trying to solve a goaltending problem as well? And especially, why would we do it to a team in our division at a friendly rate? This is the part that is going to make it difficult for the Avs. Is there's nobody that's going to want to help them out for a goaltender that is going to legitimately move the needle. And it's when people were suggesting Jack Campbell off waivers a couple weeks ago. And truthfully, I even feel a little bit this way with Mackenzie Blackwood. You don't know if that solves the problem at all. Like, at all. You could end up being right in the same situation that you're in right now, but now you're paying a little bit more for your goaltending, and you've given up picks and prospects. Here from our guy Bailey Sober, the thing the Peanut Gallery doesn't seem to understand, if you're going to trade for an above-average goalie, is I hope they're prepared to understand it's not going to be a one-for-one trade. Are you prepared to give up Malinsky, Cal Ritchie, Ivan? I've seen a lot of trade suggestions coming to me this week that include Oscar Olausson. Look, guys, I'm not trying to take a side swipe at Oscar Olausson here, but I believe Chase Bradley tonight will be the 5th, maybe 6th NHL debut that the Avs have had through call-up this season. At least the 5th, if not the 6th. Trying to do some quick counting in my head. Oscar Olausson has not been called up. We've seen Nikita Prishepov, who was a 7th-round pick 4 months ago, get called up. Chase Bradley, who we're going to hear from in a little bit, but Jared Bednar and Chase Bradley said had a terrible camp, and it has taken him going up to Loveland and working his tail off and finally stringing together some good games to earn the call-up. Oscar Olausson is at absolute best case scenario right now, a last piece throw-in to get something over the finish line. You say, here's an AHLer who can shoot the puck. Oscar Olausson, yes, I know he's a former first-round pick. He is not moving the needle on any type of trade to bring in a goaltender of any consequence here. So look, there's now the flip side of that is I think if you're the Avs, as we've talked about on this show several times this season, I think you suddenly feel a lot better about your prospect pipeline because you've had so many options instead of Oscar Olausson that you could call up to make their NHL debut. And I think you've been overall pretty happy. Ivan, what a find this looks like it is, at least right now at this point. Nikita Prishepov, great NHL debut for him. You feel pretty good about what you've got. Cal Ritchie showed well. But look, if you're wanting to bring in a true moves the needle goaltender, you are. To vaguely sober in the chat here's point, you are talking about Ivan, Cal Ritchie, maybe Prishepov, and saying, hey, look, this is a guy that's already gotten in NHL games that looks good. Like, you're having to move on from a prospect you're excited about, a decently high pick, probably not a first, but you're probably talking a second or a third that's down the road a little bit here. And then one of Jussi Sandin and Alexander Georgiev, and potentially something else to help make the money work. It's not as simple as the Avs. People saying, when will they understand they've got to do something? When will they say enough is enough? I'd be willing to bet you that Chris McFarland has said enough is enough 10 times and is having a hard time finding a dance partner because when teams know you're desperate, they're not lining up to help you out. This is something that I'm sure the Avs are dealing with like crazy internally, trying to find a different option. But as of right now, it is 1:52 p.m. on November 27th. Right now, the reality is Alexander Georgiev is going in net tonight. Alexander Georgiev will get one of two starts over the weekend, and Jussi Sandin will start against either the Dallas Stars or Edmonton Oilers. Jared Bednar told us that this morning. Love this right here again from our guy Vaguely. 31 other teams have a say too. The Avs are probably saying enough is enough. There's 31 other teams that have a say in what one of them would trade you. So it's not that simple. But like I said, it is Georgiev going tonight, and this condensed schedule is going to make things interesting. We're going to get in a little bit of that condensed schedule right now, but I do want to remind you guys heard me talking about him all week last week on the road. Our good friends down at Landmark Lincoln. Head on over to landmarklincoln.com to check out the all-new 2024 Lincoln Corsair GT plug-in hybrid. Like I said, head on over to landmarklincoln.com. Check out the latest offers and incentives, including incredible tax incentives on the all-new Corsair GT plug-in hybrids. Go to landmarklincoln.com or stop into the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado to see if you qualify for no payments up to 90 days. Again, that's landmarklincoln.com. Or you can stop in at the corner of Broadway and Bellevue today. See why they've been Colorado's trusted Lincoln dealer since 1911, over 100 years here in Colorado. But like I said, condensed schedule is going to force the Avs' hand. 20 of 25 days away from home is what the Avs are in the middle of right now. I asked Logan O'Connor this morning. I said, is it nice to be home? He goes, yeah, I guess if you could even call it being home. They're back for about 48 hours before they're right back in Dallas, back for a day, and then right back out on the road. 3 games in 4 nights starting tonight. The only night off is tomorrow, Thanksgiving, and they will be traveling for that. So 3 games in 4 nights. And look, the reason that is significant is because not only do you not have time to dwell on what happened against Tampa, you just don't really have time to dig into any of these games in a meaningful way before you're having to turn your attention to the next one. So you got to be a goldfish here over the next 4 days. Win, lose, shootout, blowout win, blowout loss. You've got to be able to turn the page, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and get ready to go, because these are 3 huge games. The Avs, look, tomorrow's Thanksgiving here in the U.S. We talk so much about the numbers that say you need to be, I believe it's sitting in a playoff spot or within 2 points of a playoff spot going into Thanksgiving. Now, barring some, everything going wrong for the Avs tonight, they will accomplish that. They will finish the night either sitting in a wild card spot or 1 point outside of that picture. You did your job to stay afloat. But you don't want to just keep staying afloat. You want to start solidly putting yourself in that conversation. You're right now just 2 points back of Dallas, who you play on Friday. You can pull yourself even with them in that game and get back into the top 3 in the Central Division conversation. So you can't sit there and be focusing too much on what happened. These games are too important. Not only is the schedule super condensed, they're games that mean a lot for this team. And so, like I said, you did it. You stayed around. Well, here's an interesting one. Sorry, I'm going to go backward a little bit because I didn't see this chat come in. Frank Saravelli saying the Calgary Flames would trade Dan Vladar for a second, that the Avs, quote, might be interested. I haven't heard that name, but again, here's another thing you have to keep in mind with Dan Vladar. And I'm going to pull his numbers up really quickly. This would be another situation where, yeah, you'd feel good. Dan Vladar has done some good things in the NHL. 27 years old. 10 games this season. He's sitting at a .903, 2.67 goals against. .903 is right around league average this year. But it has been since 2022 since this guy has been above a .900 save percentage in the NHL. So this is actually, I'm so glad we did this. So 10 games this year, he's a .903 goaltender. He does have a shutout this year. In 21-22, he played 23 games and was a .906. That is Dan Vladar's only season in the NHL where he finished above a .900. He's also never played more than 27 games in a season. And that's going to cost you a second. I think that paints the picture pretty well. You know what? Let's hear from Jared Bednar tonight. This morning, we're gonna shift focus to the game here tonight. Condensed schedule coming up. Let's hear from Jared Bednar what he had to say this morning after morning skate. I think about 5 minutes here from the coach.
Jared, you guys call Chase Bradley. Maybe not known for his big production. What is it you guys are looking for him to add?
He's been really good down there for I'd say 7 games or so, maybe more. Had a rough camp with us, to be honest with you. Just did not look comfortable at any time during training camp. And then he goes down there, started a little slow, but his game's really come around. Obviously we liked what we saw out of him in college, and we're expecting big things, and all of a sudden he's starting to produce. He's got a little bit of Steiny in him, where he's got that physicality, strong on the boards. He got a great shot, can play a straight line game, a big body game. So we just want to see him. He's playing really well now. It's a perfect time to call him up and get a look at him. And I'd like to see him continue what he's been doing down there, which is all rave reviews, especially for the last few weeks.
With a guy like that who maybe isn't comfortable at the start when he comes here, starting the season for the Eagles, he said the same thing. Do you have a conversation with him about, this is what we're looking for so you can feel comfortable to go do it?
Yeah, no question. And that's the thing. It's his first training camp, so I don't like writing players off early, or you don't want to praise them too much too early either and have unreal expectations because they have a good couple weeks stint in training camp, or this game's about consistency and getting your game to a high level and then being able to maintain it and sustain it as long as possible. So for him, I just wanted him to, that's why he went down immediately. Even though we had high expectations for him coming into camp, he had to go get his game in order and then be able to sustain it as long as possible before we took a look at him, which is why he's here now. And that was conveyed to him, when he was leaving training camp. Obviously, I talked to Schneeks quite a bit too. And but management has watched him down there, and the coaching staff has a lot of good things to say about him.
Coach, Nate McKinnon and Miles Wood weren't on the ice this morning?
Yeah, just maintenance. Yeah.
Drew, and I think you said week to week on the radio this morning. Is this a new injury, or is this kind of what he was dealing with?
It's part of what he was dealing with before. Yeah.
Is Russ Bolton on the timeline that he was set to be with the 6 to 8 weeks?
Yes. Yeah, he hit the ice already today, so we're just at 4 weeks. So he had the checkup yesterday morning. Things are looking good. He's progressing well. He's able to skate now lightly on his own, and then there'll be a pain tolerance thing. And as you know, with a lower body injury, you're out. The conditioning is going to be a factor. So hopefully he can continue to do more and more on the ice as this week goes along, and then we can get him up to speed. And hopefully by the time he gets cleared, he's good to go.
So you told us a couple of nights ago in Tampa that you had to be thinking ahead a little bit, planning ahead for this week with Georgie and that not the performance you wanted from Eustis.
Yeah.
You got a back-to-back this week, 3 really good teams. Are you guys still kind of on the we're going to play it day by day, or are you guys looking at this week and knowing that you need to do some planning for scheduled starts?
Yeah, we have to do some planning because it's a back-to-back. If it wasn't, then we'd just sort of take it one game at a time. But we have some plan, and we have a plan in place for this week.
Hi, Jared.
Hi.
This is one of those weird games where there's all kinds of Vegas's 5th night in the week. You're coming the trap game, the first game at home.
Yeah.
You guys had a rough game the last game. Do you put any thought into any of that stuff, or is it?
I'm more concerned about our team than Vegas. You know how it is. You go on a long road trip, you have some success, and we get beat up the last game. I think it's about making sure that our team's engaged right away from the drop of the puck tonight. It's not easy to do. Like, guys are dragging a little bit this morning after the day off and late night. Yesterday, you know, like it's going to take some work from all the individuals in our room and from us as a staff to make sure that we're ready to go from the drop of the puck. I don't see why there is a reason why we can't bounce back and get to our game. Doesn't guarantee us success, but I think we want to make sure that we're ready to drop the puck and that our brains are turned on. They were not in Tampa. It could be mental fatigue. I don't know what it is. There's no real excuse for it, but we have to be better than that. I think if you look at our last 10 games, you know, you take a little bit bigger picture. We're happy with the way we played. A lot of good things. 7-3, you know, it's 3rd best in the league over the time, and we got to get back to that game as quickly as we can here and not dwell on Tampa.
You guys have obviously had all kinds of experience with this, but just the idea that you almost got healthy and had your top 6 guys together for a handful of games. Do you have to? Is there any sort of like emotional management you need to do with the team, so they're not just like, you know?
Yes and no. I think it's you got to take care of that personally. You know what I mean? Like, we can help and have a quick conversation about it, but it's like, personally, if you're worried about the guys that are going out of the lineup, then your focus isn't in the right place. So you got to be dialed in on what you need to do and what your line needs to do and the different aspects of the game, whether it's special teams, 5-on-5. Like, if we're constantly concerned about who's in and out of the lineup, it's going to be a long year.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, so a couple things to unpack there, and we will start with Jonathan Drouin. Yes, we had a question way back at the beginning. Any speculation on Drouin's injury, like a bone bruise or something like that, takes a while to heal. You know, Jared Bednar said that what he's dealing with right now, which Bednar also said on the radio this morning, is closer to a week-to-week situation, is related to what he was dealing with before. Just such a bummer for Drouin. And what's just been so interesting is, like, he came back in the game that he was injured. And then it was after that he realized, I can't play through this. Coming off his best game of the season so far in Florida, then is a late scratch in Tampa Bay and now can't go again here tonight. So definitely disappointing. And the Avs are right back to, you know, now no Ross Colton, no Jonathan Drouin. You know, you're back down to it. Val Nichushkin will slide up to that top power play unit, but you guys heard him talk about it. Like, got to bounce back here. It's a tough week. They're making sure that they're preparing for every game one at a time, while the coaching staff is also having to take a larger step back and look at this entire body of work for this week. So I'm excited to see Chase Bradley. We're going to hear from him in just a second. I think from what I know about Bradley, he's the type of player that they're looking to just come get some energy. Come inject some life into this lineup, hit some guys, Be physical, go to the front of the net. And I someone described him to me as a torpedo. Like, this is just a guy who's going to run around and do the right things, hit guys. And college free agent, came to Colorado, and Jared Bednar said we had high expectations. Part of the reason why they sent him down so quickly out of camp was, yeah, we do have high expectations. We want to see you start working on that. He's done that, and that's what got him the call up here today. Let's get into this game tonight. But I am going to tell you guys about our new partners, Trusted American Mortgage. How would you like to get through the holidays without having to make your mortgage payment? Well, go to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you refinance your home and not have to make any payments until February 2025. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a lower rate and lower your monthly payments. And right now, they will cover the cost of your appraisal. That's already $650 of savings right there. Go to trustedamerican.com or scan the QR code on the screen here to see how much money they can save you today. Again, that's trustedamerican.com. Let's unpack what we are expecting here tonight. Again, the Avs are coming home after a long road trip. First game back, but the Vegas Golden Knights. This is their 5th game in 8 days, their 5th different city. This is the end of a long road trip for them. They're kind of in the same situation that the Avs were in Tampa Bay just a few nights ago. So both teams kind of in a situation where these aren't really great, they're scheduled losses, right? I think that's part of the reason why the Avs wanted a guy like Chase Bradley, who could maybe just come in and cause some damage, just hit some guys, make them feel it a little bit. Chase Bradley, excited, said he got the call last night. Let's hear from him right now.
What's going through your mind when you get the call?
Just excitement, I guess. Yeah, nothing crazy. Didn't really expect it, but I'm excited.
When the call come this morning? When did you figure it out?
Last night.
Nice.
No.
How'd you sleep?
Not good, to be honest. I was up all night, but get a good nap in before the game, and that'll work.
Do you hit it like a business as usual kind of moment, or is it something like this, keep you a little anxious?
I mean, business like usual, but just try to soak it up. It's first game. I'm lucky enough my family's coming in town, so exciting.
So was that the first call you made to your parents?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, my mom and dad, and then all my siblings. So it was a pretty special moment.
Have you had any conversations with coaches about just sticking to your game tonight, or how hard is it going to be to not have the nerves maybe jumping a little bit too much?
Just like you said, sticking with my game. I play a physical brand, so not trying to play a different style. Just going out there, playing physical, getting in on the forecheck, and just the little things that I'm good at.
You mentioned you didn't expect it. Could you have imagined this, like you're a college free agent, you're trying to figure out which team you want to sign with, and then what is it, over this is like months later, basically, you're in the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it went. I became a free agent in the summer. Had a tough couple of first weeks of camp, but kind of buried my head, trying to learn everything I could and just keep moving forward.
What was it about the organization that made you decide to sign here?
It's just a world-class organization. Like, everybody surrounded by great people, great staff everywhere, from equipment managers, athletic trainers, coaching staff, the players around us. So that was a big factor, I would say.
Is it just kind of a mix of nerves and excitement for tonight?
Yeah, I'm very excited, but also very nervous. So I think my nap will calm me down a little bit. I'm looking forward to it, but yeah, I couldn't be more excited, honestly.
You're joining a lot of rookies who have also gotten their starts this season too. Does that kind of help build your confidence, knowing that other people kind of get where you're at currently?
Yeah, it's good to know that every younger guys are getting opportunity here, but I still got to prove myself, I feel like. So I'm just not taking it for granted, and hopefully I go out and have a good game.
Thanks so much, Chase.
Love me NHL debut. And yes, I completely agree. He looks like a hockey player, got the missing tooth. Big kid, big guy on the ice. Him and Josh Manson were standing next to each other, pretty comparable in height. So, a big guy. And I think that's maybe part of the reason why they brought him in tonight, knowing that you're going to have a Vegas Golden Knights team that is maybe going to be up against it a little bit. Maybe their legs are going to be a little bit heavy coming, back up to elevation. They were in Salt Lake City earlier in the week. So, I think it's an interesting call up. I think you could easily look and say, why wouldn't you just bring Prishepov back? Why wouldn't you bring Oscar Olausson up? I think you have some options. Even TJ Tynan, why wouldn't you just bring him back? I think the Avs are wanting to reward someone who's playing well. We heard Jared Bednar talk about the fact that Chase Bradley has really strung together some good games. You heard Chase Bradley himself just mention the fact that he went down to the American Hockey League, put his head down and put in the work, and you want to reward that. But it also helps to have a guy who I think is just going to play that style a little bit of being difficult to play against. And I can't imagine his minutes are going to be huge tonight. But I do think it was an interesting call up, especially, they're right up the road. And if you don't want to take him on the trip with you, you send him back and it's no big deal. I think it's going to be good to get a look at him. Again, this is an older player. This isn't your standard 18-year-old rookie coming in. He's 22 years old. And yes, reward guys who play well with the Eagles. That's how you build the organization. That's how you build up your prospect pipeline. And we hear all kinds of folks talk about, being able to develop and things like that. This is how you do that type of thing. Guys, I really think that's it. 8:00 start tonight, and it's probably going to be closer to 8:22 because the game will be on both TNT and on Altitude. TNT will be blacked out here locally, but if you are in Denver, you will be able to get the Altitude broadcast if you've got DirecTV or Fubo, or if you've got the Altitude Plus app. But it will be a little bit of a later start. Snowy, cold start, or weather outside around the start of the game. So you guys know I'm not looking forward to that. But like I said, I just think this is going to be an interesting game tonight. And you got two teams who would probably say this could potentially be a scheduled loss. The Avs really needing a bounce back. And look, Alexander Georgiev too. As much as I'm certain he is supportive of Sandin and they both want to see each other do well, we talked about it so much out of the gates this season that Alexander Georgiev is having to earn each and every one of those minutes. He's got a chance to come in here tonight, have a good game, and just kind of put any type of goalie controversy to bed. I think it's kind of trending that direction anyways, but he can really put his stamp on it. Okay, I am firmly back in the driver's seat tonight with a really big game from him. So I think the Avs need that, and they need to get out to a quicker start. We said it the other day, and the start was what led to the whole game getting away from them. Avs need to get out to a quicker start here tonight at home against the Vegas Golden Knights. That's going to do it. There's no controversy now. They're both bad. And that's what I'm saying. Alexander Georgiev, if he can continue to string together some good games here, which I actually think he's done recently, he's going to maybe start to shed that he's bad, and you're just back to the consistency conversation. I don't know. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Mark back there behind the board, making sure everything goes off without a hitch. He and I will be at the game tonight, bringing you guys all of the post-game content, locker room, Jared Bednar, and then, of course, our post-game Q&A, which we are just loving doing with you guys. But that's going to do it. Stay warm, drive safe, have a very happy Thanksgiving, guys. Like I said, we'll bring you guys everything from tonight, but a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.